Let's go back to our breaking news story now. The JSC has just announced its preferred candidate for the position of Chief Justice after a week of interviews, and the nominee is Justice Mandisa May. eNCA reporter Heidi Jokos has been following the story for us, and she joins us live. Heidi, in that press briefing, a number of questions from journalists about whether the controversy during the interview process is expected to possibly derail or cast a shadow on this nomination. Were there any favourites for the position, and what is the process now?
So, Annalie, it was very good questions that were actually posed to the Judicial Service Commission, given the calls for certain interviews, such as Judge President of the Gauteng Division, Dunstan Mlambo, to be redone, given the questions posed to him around sexual harassment rumours and how this was an unfair process towards him, given the fact that there was no actual substantial evidence with regards to these sexual harassment rumours. But the Judicial Service Commission saying that they are not really worried about any court action or any process that would subject them to possibly having to redo these interviews. And the reason this is an important question to ask is because the interviews that were done last year, April, for 2 constitutional court positions had to be redone in October because of the kinds of questions that were asked and the conduct and manner in which the Commission behaved in, and the way in which it behaved towards the candidates that were being interviewed. But the Judicial Service Commission spokesperson, Senior Counsel Dalimpo, for making it quite clear that they are not worried. There are probably thousands of letters, he says, and thousands of messages, and even on social media criticizing the Commission, but they feel as though they were fair and there was no concerted attempt or effort to discredit any candidate, but rather they felt the questions that were asked were appropriate ones. But I mean, if you saw what happened yesterday, Annalie, there started being fighting between the 2 commissioners, which is the Minister of Justice Ronald Lamola and Commissioner Julius Malema. And many are saying, if the commissioners are fighting with each other, what is actually going on behind doors when they deliberated today? And they deliberated for over 8 hours. We were told that the press briefing was going to be at 1 o'clock, and the press briefings only happened a few minutes ago. But they are not worried about any court action, and they're saying that they'll deal with it should it happen, but they feel they conducted themselves in a proper manner.
Heidi, of course, this doesn't mean that their recommendation is in fact going to be followed or adhered to by the President. He has free range to appoint one of the other candidates, possibly.
Yes, certainly, and this is why the Judicial Service Commission makes its recommendation to the President. And what's important and interesting here is the fact that there's never really been 4 candidates. This has been quite healthy competition where you have 4 candidates up competing and being interviewed for the position of Chief Justice of the highest court in the land, and this is why it might be particularly difficult. Many were suspecting that the Judicial Service Commission would recommend perhaps 2 names to the President for him to consider, but the preferred and recommended judge for the Chief Justice position from the Judicial Service Commission is Supreme Court of Appeal President Mandisa May, and it just all depends on what the President decides on. At the end of the day, it's up to him. He can decide what he wants to do, and he's not bound to this recommendation. But of course he'll consider this. We do know a report is being written to the President from the Judicial Service Commission, from all deliberations and all interviews, strengths and weaknesses and qualities of each candidate, and the President will decide. We're not exactly sure of time frames, Annalie, but we do know that it's quite urgent, given there's an acting Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court, and that position needs to be filled as quickly as possible, given the limitations the Constitutional Court has with an acting Chief Justice, but also the work that needs to be urgently addressed from the judiciary.
Thank you very much, Heidi Jokos, bringing us the latest there on the JSC decision to recommend candidate Mandisa May for the position.